Mm,
So you're feeling dysregulated.
yes, I am. And it's
Um,
hard to focus because of that and
mhm.
to have like a logical thread.
And do you have any requests at the moment? But just wondering what you need when you're dysregulated in an uncle's research space.
Mm, I don't know. I feel fear that is blocking me off. I cannot think. I feel like I cannot think.
So in many ways, Masha, you are live with what happens in EHPs that others will hold or I hold. So the research at the moment is what to do when you're space holding with someone who's got dysregulation. That's our live research, isn't it?
So then, uh, I actually feel I started to getting dysregulated after I held space for someone.
Okay,
Because
interesting.
that's when that started. And this someone was just talking at me for, so normally my sessions are, actually I give like Feldenkrais sessions on a table. And this time this person came, he sat down and he started talking about like his work and the meeting he had at work, and he talked at me for over 40 minutes, where I was like, okay, this is not like, so I had tried in the meantime to bring him back to his body, to connect him to his feelings, but he's very, very new to feelings work, and was skipping over, like was very fast in skipping over. I also wanted to give him the space to share whatever he had to share, because that seemed to be very important for him. Especially like, yeah, especially him being like this top manager and telling me his work situation. What was, yeah, I was intrigued. How come he's spending so much time, even though he knows he could be getting body work? So
Sounds
anyway,
like
so
he needed more than body work, huh? He needed to offload. He was full up and needed to offload. And
yeah,
the impact on you has been you're dysregulated.
yes, exactly. So I was really focusing on keeping my center, my grounded cord, my bubble somehow. Yeah. And then at the end, I was just like, okay, stop, sense into your body. So I guided him to sense into his body, breathe into his center, connect to his center as well, together with me. And then he had this experience of, wow, finally he was breathing into his belly. And that was a completely new experience and was very special. And I was very surprised because that seemed to come from nowhere. Like after all this downpour, I didn't think he would be capable of anything, because all the times I tried to guide him inside, connect him to anything other than his thinking mind, I kept hitting a wall. So then,
Yay! Celebration. You got him in his body.
yeah, but, and I got so knocked over. Like after that, I've been so dysregulated.
Check it out. But what it sounds like you're describing to me is he was in his hurry up. Emotional fear, full up, offloading, and using you as a, what's an English word? Pounder, bashing you. It wasn't about connection, it was about him offloading. And what's the effect on you when someone's in their hurry up driver?
Yes, it gets me into my hurry up driver. I've definitely been feeling it very clearly.
Yeah.
Since.
Yeah. And this is where I've put in the platform. It's so important to interrupt the hurry up driver. So some of my coaching would be, hey, I'm going to listen to you download for 10 minutes or offload for 10 minutes. Then I'm going to invite you to take a few breaths so that you're the one holding the space. Because when people are full up, you just got to let them. And that's when I open a black hole, let it all go down the black hole. Even on a computer, I put a black hole around the screen. And really only need to be an empty space in which they offload. Till the overflow's gone down enough that there's a little bit of space inside. Then you're able to move him from his intellectual body to his physical body.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that it was so stressful. Like 45 minutes, I'm like, because in the past, because he talks so much every time, I would like give him extra time. I even went to the length of giving him 2.5 hours instead of 1 hour. And then I said, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm gonna like be paid by the hour. So if you stay longer, I'm gonna charge you more. This is also for me, it's not professional. I want to stick to being professional. And then it's like, well, yeah, so this was ultra stressful. So it was 45 minutes in, nothing had worked. I'm like, I want to go home because it was late already in the evening. Like, what do I do now? How? Like,
So I have another tip. Do you want to hear it?
yes.
But as the space holder, you let him know you think he needs a space where he can debrief for his intellect. It's not just his physical body needs care, his intellectual body does. And make the distinction. Hey, how about we book an hour first for you to offload, the second hour for body work? Because you may be the only person he speaks to. I don't know.
Seems like it.
So he's probably pretty alone with everything that's going on at work. What do you think about that proposal?
Yeah, it's a good one. Thank you.
Then it's not making him wrong for offloading, because he's probably really bottled up, and be a clear space holder and offer him the two spaces simultaneously.
Thank you. That's a great possibility.
So when you have those options, how is your level of regulation right now? The same or different?
It's the same. It's probably because something got offset that has an emotional basis and is not necessarily one-to-one connected to what happened, even though that was the trigger, so to say.
Mm-hmm. And how would you language what the trigger was? His speed? Like, how would you describe the trigger? Was it his speed, or tell me what you think the trigger was?
It was the content. It was just so much. It felt like I'm in a thriller movie. It was like, oh my God. And this thing and that thing, and like really complicated stuff and sophisticated stuff. And he had to take care of this and he had to take care of that. And then that happened. And there's this pressure from here and that pressure from there. And he had to navigate it all. I mean, it was like, it really felt like this thriller, like,
like I'm shivering as you're telling me. It's like, And did you ask him how he was feeling about it all? Did you bring in a feeling question?
Yeah, yes,
And
I did
is
it.
is he in touch with his feelings?
No, zero, like no chance. I mean, he was like, yeah, I feel. So he sort of like started to connect to anger because we had that before in our sessions, and then parallel. So probably this is what also triggered my dysregulation, because in parallel I had this other film like tape going on in my mind. It's like, is he trying to be the good boy also here in this space? Is he just sort of like making stuff up just to impress me and be a good like client? And I think that was probably what. And this thing at the end, which like I didn't really like, him breathing into his belly. I mean, I did see him breathe into his belly on one hand, and then on the other hand there was like such a big um disparity between where he was and like me trying to sort of take him by the hand and get like just take him a bit with me along, and then him all of a sudden having this huge insight of breathing into his belly. I'm like,
Something didn't weigh up, right? It was like,
yeah, yeah.
So I love what you're doing. You're tapping into what psychologists call the transferential field, countertransference. You're tapping into what becomes alive in you around this particular person. And for me, I don't know what the PM language would be actually. Or tapping into the field, intuition, picking up data. Yeah.
Yeah, so if there were a trigger, now I can say it better. It's this misbelief, or sort of one was the like overwhelm, and then it was the like what the distrust, sort of distrust of his process, or it, yeah,
Say more what you mean about his distrust.
the authenticity of his process.
So I think what you're bringing is it can be authentic for his being, but can also be authentic in terms of his survival mechanism. There's still an authenticity with it.
Mm.
Does he think he has to talk for a Feldenkrais session? Might be worth checking.
Yeah.
It feels more like he's just so full up, and he uses his intellectual body to navigate everything. So his numbness bar's high.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. So what would you do with someone like that?
I'd start helping them create their own old map of emotions. What's his belief about anger, fear, sadness, and joy? And help him create, well, you create it together, even if it's audibly at first. And then I get people to write it and make their own. Other than, till I see you next time, will you make a grid? Till I say to them, till I see you next time, will you make a grid of all the conclusions and beliefs you have about sadness, fear, joy, and anger? Then I let them know something that I know there's a different, we can use those feelings to create what we want in our lives. And then they're usually the Ewok. Oh, tell me more.
And how do you introduce it in a session?
Yeah, like that, spontaneously. I'm drawing it in my mind. Hey, if you tell me some of the beliefs you have about anger or sadness while you're working on him. So you're making it in your mind and his mind to begin with. And then at the end, I'd invite him to draw it on a quadrant map. Rather than give him the old map of emotions, get him to create it.
And what if he sort of already read some PM books and then is the good student?
So then, well, that's when I'd be irreverent and say, look, I don't want Clinton's version. I want to know yours. But I get away with it because I can be cheeky like that. And especially his parents' beliefs about those 4 emotions.
Thank you. Yeah. And this, and also how would you like, so when someone is using their this survival mechanism so strong of being the good boy and the good student, it's crazy. He has so many things. He's like really top management, has on top of that he chose to have like at least 5 other responsibilities voluntarily. So he's always engaged with something, with responsibility. And then he's there like a small boy, like ranting on about
look at me. Look what I've done. Well, what you sound like you've described, he's got both a try-hard driver, probably be strong, I've got to be really responsible, and a hurry up. I'd probably ask him, hey, when did you first learn to be so busy or so responsible? So invite him back to the origins of his survival mechanism.
Yes. Thank you. I attempted that a few sessions ago, and yeah, he's the most challenging client I have. Like,
so he'll be the most growthful for you.
Growthful, yes.
Because Masha, remember the session you and I did, and all inverted commas I did was stay centered, stay calm. We've got a little doggy come to visit. Ace, come. Stay calm, stay centered, and then I asked you, hey, do I feel calm or tense to you right now? And you said calm. And I said, well, what does that feel like inside you when you're around a calm person? And you relaxed, do you remember? So giving them a new experience of not having someone stressed begins to change their nervous system and their neurology. Is my voice calm or stressed? No, it's calm. But if you get hooked into hurrying up or trying hard, I've got to work this out, that will be communicated in the energetic field. And that's why you probably were dysregulated.
Yeah, right.
Does that make any sense to you?
Makes total sense, because I was so
much here. I've got to do something about this.
Yeah, especially was like the hour is gonna end and then I'm gonna ask him to pay, and I want to know what, like, I want to have a reason I'm getting paid for.
And then I bring in, and then look what I bring in. Same topic. Oh, isn't it hilarious? Really? Then I bring in wanting to be paid for another session if we have one. I love how the whole thing works.
Yeah. Well, it was like, okay, now I only have 15 minutes to make myself useful here.
There it is. I have to be useful. Him having an offload space is you being useful.
Yeah, I guess it just needs to be communicated like that.
Exactly.
From
Bring the
beginning.
distance. Sounds like what you need more than you need body work is to offload. Oh yeah, I'd offer him 2 sessions back to back. Because then you're using your wisdom and knowledge to be a really skilled space holder. Ah, that's a big breath. Translate, translate the sound you just made.
Yeah, just it's like it's been one full day of being really, really stressed since that happened yesterday evening. Somehow, I don't know, like during the day everything was fine. I was feeling centered, and that yeah.
Yeah, sounds like the hook he throws when he's in hurry up, try hard, be strong, grabbed your, he was able to throw a carefully crafted hook to you and you took it. Oh my God, I have to do something. I've only got 15 minutes left, not enough time. Like even me just saying that, my tummy's already going, even though it's not true for me, but tapping into that energy. I'm just going to take a few slow breaths. So I really appreciate what you're bringing, the impact on the space holder of the material and the domain the client brings. I think I'm really glad to have this in our UNKLE's platform.
So that what the client brings can trigger the space holder driver behaviors?
Definitely. And then your child, like, was he the same or different than your mum's energy? Bingo. I don't think you need to answer that question. I think you've already answered it with your facials.
Yeah, it's offloading. Fucking offloading. Oh.
Yeah, fucking offloading. It's not about contact. It's not about connection between two people. It's using you as a garbage dump. And I'm sure you charge double for that. No, important distinction.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely requires like setting boundaries as well and keeping like really holding the space.
Tell me what you mean by setting the boundary.
Like holding the space a bit more, I don't know, using some more of space holding, more anger for boundaries around time, around context. Like it, I feel it's, so the challenge is in that there's more space holding needed, if that makes, I can't put it in better words.
That's definitely it. The space needs to be held. You don't let him be a runaway train that you're trying to pull back with a cord.
Yeah, but
and remember, with those 3 drivers running, he won't be in touch with what he needs. So then I use my sadness and compassion. Sounds like you really need a space to offload and to debrief everything that's everything you're responsible for. So then it's not the anger that he might feel well, his good boy will feel told off by.
Yes, exactly. He feels told off very quickly, incredibly quickly.
Yeah. So then it needs a lot more compassion. And make the proposal. Sounds like you nearly need a debrief time. So how about we schedule an hour before your bodywork session for your emotional and intellectual body debrief? Tell me, translate.
I love that possibility. Or I'm thinking maybe to split it half an hour and half an hour. Or
From
just
what
to,
you said, it sounds like an hour and an hour's.
what did you say? An hour?
Well, you've already said 2.5 hours wasn't enough. So I would start with an hour, and if you don't need that much, reduce it for the next time. And have the 2 distinct spaces. Because he won't know what he needs, and he'll need your attunement to make offers. Remember with you, what I said was, how could you not have been scared, Masha? Like, you were so didn't want to feel your fear, but I had a different way of making the offer. So then I would see him as a smaller child. Sounds like you might need, you know, you make the offers so that they can build emotional literacy. You keep breathing deeply. Tell me what's happening.
I'm noticing tension leaving my body, and I'm also, while that is happening, I'm noticing how much tension built up with that session that I wasn't aware of. Really.
And then I think it got directed towards me. I'm glad of your anger that I dropped the ball, but energetically it had more energy than belonged to just my conversation. So that's when I was picking it up.
Definitely. And regarding to that, I want to thank you and to appreciate having this possibility to share my anger, which I mostly hold myself back from because people cannot handle it, or it wouldn't. I knew you'd somehow.
You could
deal with it in a smart way.
Not always guaranteed, but it would be my intention.
Yeah, that you would not take it personally and not make me wrong for it.
No. Yeah, I'm a play space you can experiment with. And if I have a reaction, I will own it and tell you. And then, take responsibility.
Yeah. So this is a rare, in PM world in general. I feel I appreciate this possibility of, and somehow with you I feel close. Yeah, I feel the level of trust that allows me to show anger. Express.
Glad hearing that. And this is where my previous training, Richard Erskine said, one of the things, we have 8 relational needs. One of them being we need a reliable, robust, stable other that can receive whatever comes.
Can you repeat that?
A reliable, stable, robust other person that takes what comes, even if it's emotion, and is the space for it, and then put it through the decoder, helping for you in this case, helping you decode what was going on for you, because I stay like the Rock of Gibraltar. Yeah? Do you like that
Yeah.
analogy?
Yes. Reliable, stable.
Robust. It's the robust part that's really important. That I don't take it personally. I'm the space that you can sharpen your sword in. And in Lancashire, we say sharpen your beak, you know, like a bird on the cuttlefish. Well, in PM spaces, I'm changing it to sharpen your sword.
Great. I love that analogy.
You seem a lot less
With the beak, especially.
with the beak. Yeah. You seem less tense. Are you more relaxed?
Yes. I am coming down slowly. And I feel I want and need to learn more about these driver behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
and what
So I put an
they are.
article in there. I've done some other video, but I'll do another one because it's crucial. There's no point doing doing child ego state work, in my opinion, unless you catch the driver behavior, because they're so interlinked.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm wondering about a way to centralize the information, because there are so many messages now in between, and it's really difficult to find the videos, the article.
I think you're behind the times, because I went and took all those messages out this morning.
All of them.
Well, the ones that aren't the recordings and stuff. And do you have some coaching on how to centralize? Is there a way to do logistics separate from the recordings and the gems I put in there?
That would be awesome. I don't. The only thing that comes to my mind now is to like make just like make one long message with all of the resources and pin that one message. Not pin more messages, because that also is difficult.
I'll ask Blue to do it. That seems like I'll ask Blue.
Yeah.
All the messages. Okay. And
because
I could
if you pin more than
yeah. Well, now I have a YouTube channel.
Okay.
So I could stick them in there and just put the links in the group. Would that also be a wise solution?
No, if you have them all in the YouTube channel, just put the YouTube channel. So
I can do that. Okay.
And then, but what is the question is what is not on the YouTube channel?
I wonder if we also just have a logistics channel separate in the platform. Not really,
No.
Well, I'll keep deleting logistics conversations after the logistics has been sorted.
Great. Yeah. And maybe get some input from Luke.
I will. Yay.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad, because I've been a supervisor for decades, and I still do supervision for Lifeline. So I love debriefing at the meta perspective when you've been a space holder. So I'd like that to be in our UNKLE's group as well.
Great. That's a great resource. Thank you. Yeah, and I think it fits really well with the topic. I mean, yeah, with the UNKLE's topic and holding space. Yeah.
If you were only listening to your body and not the clock, in your mind, are you complete for our visit today?
I have a small question. still open. From
Okay.
our last conversation that was recorded around, okay, how could I have not felt fear? And then my question was, okay, what do I do with all that fear? And you answered to open spaces, safe spaces to feel some of it. Did I get that right?
And how have you been doing with that?
I don't think I have. I thought I have been doing it, but now, when I was in this dysregulated overdrive state, feeling lots of fear as well, I realized that.
Mhm. Did you let yourself feel your fear, or did you go more to being in your driver behavior of, oh, I've got to do something here, I've only got 15 minutes left?
Yeah, I went into the driver behavior. I have still difficulty feeling the fear.
Which is probably what he does.
Yes, and that was good because at least I saw it in him and I put it on behavior.
That's what he was, the mirror for you. Oh, often. How come he's reflecting this part of me to me? But that's with that. I mean, I'm joking. I'm not joking. I'm enjoying it. It's a question I ask. How come this client is reflecting this in the space I'm holding?
Unconscious fear. Like, there's so much unconscious fear in what your process, your colleagues, everything in that your company.
There you go. See? Yeah. So that's a doorway. You offered him a doorway, if you can say that to him. Sounds like your whole company is running on unconscious fear. And he might go, huh?
Yeah, he didn't know what to do with it. I mean, I didn't know what to do with it further than that point.
So then I would flag it for next time. So let's talk about that when you come next time. And then you dial 0800 Janet. What do I do? Or other people. You've got plenty of people. Susanna. Yeah.
Anyway, so back to the question of how to feel the fear that is being pushed away for decades, for 4 decades.
Well, go to the space holders that you relax around and you know hold the space. That's for one. And right now, if you're willing, we could have a do-over of so you connect with the fear you had in your session with this guy. Are you willing to do that?
Yes.
So I invite you to close your eyes. And use your clicker to click yourself back to that time and space where you were in your consulting room. And this time the do-over is you are held. I'm holding you and your experience. And let your fear be there. Choicefully connect with your fear. And let it be there.
It's gut-wrenching.
Wow. Breathe into it. It's gut-wrenching fear. And which emotion is the gut-wrenching sensations?
Fear. It's more like terror.
Thank you. So if you're willing, take 2 or 3 slow connecting breaths. So you're letting that terror know that you know it's there. So it's high intensity fear when it's terror. Yeah, you just twitched your right shoulder, let it all be there. And let the fear get a 2 or 3% bigger or more in touch with it.
Well, if I do get in touch with it, I get nauseated.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's what fear feels like.
If I let it get bigger.
You set the limit of how far you want to go, but keep going. This is how it goes to connect with fear. You'll feel sick.
Yeah.
Let the yawn be there. That's all part of it. Stay with it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Tears are coming. And yeah, there's this gut-wrenching, nauseating feeling.
Thank you for feeling this, Masha. Tears. Yeah, yeah. That's it. Don't swallow it. Spit it out if you can. Coughs, twitches, yawns. Keep going. And find the sound, Masha, that goes with your face, the grimace of your face. What's the sound?
Um,
Go. Yeah. Let the coughs come, don't swallow it, yes. And the muscles in your face are expressing something.
I don't know. I feel I would be faking something.
Masha, that's probably enough, because when fear has been frozen, we only need to put enough sunlight or attention on the frozen iceberg to melt a little bit at a time, and then see what happens over the next few days. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
So it might look like a little bit, but what you just did was a lot. You contacted your nausea, your shoulders started twitching, yawning, and the tears were coming. You've already contacted some of your terror.
Yeah, thank you. And actually, this brings me back to the full loop, because the original, actually, now I remember, my research question originally was, that it feels inauthentic and not right to push people into their fear when they have uncles, and to tell them to raise their level of fear and to make sound.
Yeah. It's got, well, this is my opinion. It's different than other people's. If I push, they'll go into a driver behavior. I don't want that. And then really important, because many people have a delay switch. That's how they survived. Now to see the effect over the next 72 hours with you connecting to what you just connected to inside.
What do you mean by the delay switch?
Well, the people freeze and numb their experience when they're in danger. And it's only later, sometimes years, sometimes days, they can feel, they begin to thaw what they've frozen. So a delay switch is, they don't they don't feel what the experience was like till days, weeks, or years later. It's a numbness bar in PM language, but it's so quick, and they sometimes don't ever bring the numbness bar back down enough to feel what they put on hold.
Thank you for that distinction, and I feel my jaw clenching.
Yeah. Well, that's the strongest bone in the body, apparently, the jawbone. And yeah, then we tighten the muscles and don't say things and don't make sound. So it's really important to look at the body's mechanism of the survival mechanism.
Cool. Thank you. This was
Pleasure.
as expected, very precious.
And it'll be useful, I'm sure, for other people in our group. So I'll put the recording in there, and then when I have strong Wi-Fi, I'll move everything up to my YouTube channel.
Great.
All right, is that enough for our visit today, Masha?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. And
Bye-bye.
good luck.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.